What's up, everybody? It's Saturday, January 15th. Doing our look ahead video for what's going on next week, which should ultimately prove to be an extremely tricky week. Um, First and foremost, before we get started, I want to let you know that I'm going to be starting up a data service here in the near future. And basically, what you can expect is access to my band system, right? Um, it's not going to look quite like this. It's going to look much more cleaner. It's not going to have any indicators on it. It's just going to have the black, red, and the green bands on them with various time frames. You can see how well these bands sort of respond, right? When we get down below these areas, what tends to happen is we have reversals, right? I do want to, here's a 92-point reversal off of this. We didn't quite reach it here, ended up reversing down here. Here we made a red band violation, then a secondary black band violation. We took off, right? This is on the hourly chart. Here you'll see that we went down and closed outside the bands, and there's all sorts of rules about this that I'll share if you decide to participate with this system. On the 15-minute intraday chart, here you can see that this is a trending down day, right? As soon as in this scenario, again, there's rules where if you entered here, let's say, and you captured this, and then it came back down here. As soon as it closed back below, that would be like your stop out limit. Why? Because we continue down. So there's plenty of rules in regards to how this stuff works, but generally speaking, what happens is I've developed these things to track the average amount that price moves in any given candle, based on how much volume is at play, right? So that's essentially what these things do. And when you start looking at, big, so here's a daily time frame, right? We spent a couple days out here. What happened? We declined, right? What did we decline from the high? 1.74% in 2 days, right? Came back up, barely touched it, declined 1.4%, went on to sell in addition to that all the way down 5%, right? So they're very accurate. They're not, I don't want to sit here and say that it's an immediate thing, but it's the sort of indicator that lets you know, hey, heads up, there's a potential reversal here. And the higher the time frame that you're using, the more reliable that signal is, right? So I will be offering a system, and I will be explaining how to use this system for a monthly fee. And realistically, this is something I've been thinking about doing for quite some time. It's just going to be hopefully it's going to be a passive income for me, right? If it becomes too much work, I might not even do it, right? But I want to keep it, just to kind of explain where I'm coming from. I want to keep it small. I don't know exactly how small I want to, keep it. That's still sort of up in the air. But I do want to sort of make sure that it maintains its edge, if that makes any sort of sense. So, this is not something that I'm looking, to have hundreds of people using, because I think at that point, the edge could become in danger, right? So I do want to keep it small. Again, I don't know what that exact number is. And of course, when you sign up, I'm going to have a how-to / the rules that you use about this system. But the point is, it's not a buy-sell system. It doesn't say, hey, buy here, sell here. It just sort of puts you on alert that, circumstances are right for a reversal here, right? That's kind of what it is. And if you get, if you have more questions about it, you can reach out to me. but that is something I'll be offering in the near future here. Okay, anyways, let's get to it here and figure out what is actually going on, because this is a really crazy chart, right? If we look at our traditional chart here that we've been using for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I've been using for ages, I've pointed out a few things, right? So first thing that I've done is I took the weekly profile, right? So this is from January 10th up until Friday, right? So this is the weekly profile here. I've also taken the fixed range volume profile from the high over here all the way to the current candle, right? So this whole range, the breakdown, the break up, the break back down again. So those are the two new fixed ranges that we're seeing on this chart versus what we had last week, right? Now this is getting pretty tricky here, but if you recall last week, I was expecting, I said, hey, if we go down, that we're likely going to bounce, and I want to see 47.50 all the way up to 47.71 trade, right, to repair that structure. All right. So that was last week's call. That's what I was expecting for, and then I was expecting for the sell to resume. All right. So what ended up happening is we did bounce. We only bounced to this level, this 47.40 level, and we did not make that 47.50. So as a result of that, I didn't even get to participate in this, which was kind of disappointing because I was looking forward to that trade. So I missed it by 10 points there, but ultimately it did, it bounced and then it declined, which is what I was looking for. So I still feel like I have a pretty good gauge on what this market is doing here. And with that said, I think that next week is going to basically be the week where we shit or get off the pot. I think the real move is going to materialize next week. We've got Vixpiration next week on Wednesday. It's another major OPEX as well on Friday. So there's, the markets are going to be moving. Buyback period ends on the 21st, I believe, right? So we're looking at next Friday buybacks full force, right? So if we're having a large decline into that, then suddenly, boom, we're going to have some big old support come in on Friday, the 21st. So let's get into the nitty gritty here. Last week again, I was looking for a bounce to 47.50. We got 47.40, and then we collapsed and we went all the way down to 46.07. All right. Well, what's going to happen here? Okay, so the two possible scenarios we got here is if we take a look at this, my main chart here, there is a crap ton of resistance above us here, right? We've got this blue line here is the 50-day moving average. We've got that sitting above us. We have the 8 EMA here. We have the 20 SMA here, okay, at 46.96. 46.85 is the 8. 46.75 is the 50-day. This is a ton of resistance, okay? This is an absolute ton of resistance. It's going to be very, very hard to break through this, right? So I've marked a couple of these on this chart here, okay? 46.82, this is going to basically be right above the 50-day moving average, and you can see that this ties up with the value area from this whole move, right? So from the high all the way to this low, breaking back into this, accepting this range again, saying that we can trade above here, also coexists with that 46.75 50-day moving average. This is very, very good chance that this is the high for next week, right? You can see that this week we managed to, this 46.67 level has continued. We've added that. We added that thing back here sometime. This level has continued to perform. We bounced immediately off of that level. I haven't changed this level. This trend line's been here forever and a day. But if we can get above that in the short term, which I do think is possible, this 46.75 to 46.82 is going to prove to be very, very, very staunch resistance, right? So the only way I think that can be broken will be in an overnight session with extremely low volume, right? So if they're going to do it, they're going to do it Sunday, I think. And they'll get us above that if that's the plan, right? Now, in terms of like, hey, and can we get new highs off of this, right? Like, was this the dip, right? Because there's a lot of people that say, hey, look, we got a higher low here. You've got these ridiculous bullish pin bar candles, which I am not a fan of at all. To me, this chart is not bullish. Now, you ask 10 people, and probably 6 or 7 of them are going to say that this is a bullish chart. But I'm talking about in this sort of action here, right? I'm not talking about going back to 2020 or whatever. Obviously, that's bullish. But just in the local area, when we're looking at these candles, I don't like this chart at all. All right, so if we can go ahead and trade back up to this 46.82, and if they can breach that overnight, the big level, all right, the new ideal spot to short, right, 47.05 right here. All right, now this right here, if we start trading back above this, and we got this level by taking, this is the value area profile of last week, right? So last week was a bearish week, okay? Let's change it to a weekly candle. You can see we got a weekly doji, right? Last week's a bearish week. If we can get a daily close above 47.05, I wouldn't be short. It's as simple as that. I wouldn't be short, right? Because we're back in the accepted range here. We're gonna definitely go back up and clean up that 47.60 and probably even go higher at that point, right? But we're at a point in time where we gotta go. Like, there's no, like, if we're gonna sell, we gotta sell. Like, there's no more let's go sideways, figure this stuff out. The move has got to happen this week, okay? So long story short, if we can on Monday morning go back up here, hit this 47.05, I want to go short. All right, if Monday for whatever reason we manage to close above 47.05, I don't want to be short, right? That would mean that Tuesday, the very next day, the bears have to negate it, and they got to negate it in a big way, right? So really, on Monday, if 47.05 trades, you'd be looking for that to trade where there's still a lot of time in the session, because that would give time to have an intraday rejection. If 47.05 trades late in Monday's session, excuse me, then that gives it ability to close above it, which means you wouldn't want to short it then. You would probably want to short it Tuesday morning, because then that would, the bears have the next candle to negate that that failure of letting them close above 47.05, right? So that's the bullish scenario, right? Above 47.05, go long, and otherwise that's the ideal spot to short. But just keep in mind, I don't know this 46.75, 46.82 zone. That's going to be heavy resistance if it trades during normal hours. If it trades during Globex and there's no volume, they're going to be able to get through that stuff like no problem, right? So you just got to kind of keep perspective on when those areas are going to trade, right? If they trade in Globex, then they're probably going to break, and we're probably going to see this 47.05, and that's the spot you're going to want to go short. All right. Now let's look at the downside targets here, right? Okay. First and foremost, we got this 46.50. This is, probably even though we closed above it, this is probably no longer any sort of major support, right? Just because we've flirted with this area too many times. Here, broke it here, went back up, broke it here, closed above it here, right? This is no longer valid support, even though it's the most amount of shares trade. It's the point of control. We've messed with this level too much. If we go back to this level, it's going to fail, right? That's just how it is, right? So if this level gives way, you have extremely good odds that we're going to go ahead and go back down to this 46.07, obviously. That will ultimately fail as well, it's my opinion. And the first stop you're really going to have is this 45.75 area. All right, so we can add that back to the chart. You might see some sort of support here, but ultimately, if this fails, this is probably going to fail as well very, very quickly. Same session type failure, right? So, I don't even really want to put this on the chart as a support anymore, to be perfectly honest, right? If we go back down here, guys, that's the move. The move is happening. This is going to break. This 45.49 is going to break. And realistically, I would say the next spot will be the double bottom at 44.92 to 44.77. That's going to be the next big area that could trade. And that will likely trade by Wednesday, right? Because of Vixpiration, right? As soon as Vixpiration hits, people are going to want to load up new shorts. So all this action has to happen fast, right? So if 47.05 is going to trade, it's got to trade Monday. Like no ifs, ands, or buts. Got to trade Monday, right? Otherwise, if it doesn't trade Monday, we're cratering, right? So all this stuff's got to happen Monday, right? So I would not be surprised if by Wednesday we see 44.77 trade again. All right. And then what happens there is going to really be the gateway to, do we get this 43.27 or do we finally bounce? Well, I shouldn't say finally bounce, we've been bouncing nonstop, but or do we bounce to the new highs into basically March, where they're going to hike the rates finally, and that's when the market's going to implode, right? So that's kind of what I see here, guys. Maybe like I said, hopefully there's a short-term bullish operation here to get us up to 47.05. Short that. As long as we do not daily close above that, that is an excellent short position. And then I think what's going to happen is very quickly, probably by Wednesday, we will see this 44.77 trade which is it's a fairly decent pullback actually. 47.5, 44.77. That's 4.8%. So a lot of money to be made on that trade if that materializes, and that's what I'm. That's what I'm. You know, it's a pretty ballsy call, but that's kind of what I'm looking for here. The reason that I'm squeezing it into this time frame here is just because of that VIX-piration. Because as soon as that VIX-piration hits, if VIX is high, people are going to want to short the shit out of it, and you're going to want to probably go long this area, looking for new highs. And unfortunately, the fact that 47.50 to 47.71 didn't get repaired likely means that we will revisit that. Probably will prevent this low from trading, this 43.27, and would likely cap the low somewhere in here, 44.92 down to 44.50. So that's what I got here, guys. Very aggressive week. I hope it plays out like this. This, like I said, this is a very hard week to predict what's happening, but that's what I got, and it's a very, very ballsy call. There's gonna be a lot of people telling me that was unbelievable, Ant, that you called that out, or hey, Ant, you're a complete and total idiot. So that's the sort of week I have in store for myself here. But that's what I see, guys. So if you have any questions, go ahead, hit me up. Go from there. Have a great rest of your long weekend.